tell you this, Keen, here's the, we need business. We've got to have it. And right now, we're literally, Tennessee, Florida has a 0% personal and income sales tax and corporate income tax, 0%. We're at 6%. So right off the bat, we're at an unequal playing field. South Carolina is at 3%. They are getting industry. I tell you, they're one to look at in the future. They're gaining momentum. We've been the shining city on the hill just because we've got a great airport, we've got great folks, great place to live, but we're losing key jobs as far west as Texas. And in my opinion, it's because our corporate and personal income sales tax. I feel like we need to lower it, but I don't feel like we can lower it right away. I feel like we lower it gradually. Because if you lower it from 6 to 0, where are we going to replenish the funds? What's the offset? So, for me personally, if you do it gradually, maybe you use it as consumption. Maybe you work on the ad valorem side. There's other ways and other innovative ways to lower it even a point. But you spread it out. Spread it out maybe, 6, 8 years. And to try to court people in here, because I tell you, when you go to Nashville, when you go to Austin, Texas, boy, they've got a whole committee of folks saying, look, this is why, look at our corporate, look at our income sales tax. So that's what I would do. Yeah, Bill?
I think my whole platform is to make Georgia the most economically competitive state in the country. And I think from a regulatory environment, from a tax environment, working on education and transportation, that's sort of the platform. But it's not, you can't just do it with taxes. But I do want to eliminate the income tax in Georgia. I think it's an issue of believing in individuals more than businesses. And, believing in individuals more than government. And that's truly where I come from. I believe that you take the 56 state senators and the 180 House reps, they can get around in their infinite wisdom all day and figure out how to manipulate this and manipulate that. But I believe in the thousands of Georgia businessmen and businesswomen to come up with innovative ideas to push that into the free market and make that work. And I believe in that more than I believe in government. And I think I had lunch today with a man who started his company in 2002 from zero, and it's a $350 million company. And over lunch we were talking about how he wants to figure out other places to headquarter that business. And it's in direct correlation to Georgia's income tax. And that is a true differentiator. Because when capital leaves Georgia, our innovators, our entrepreneurs lose their investors. They lose those opportunities to have people believe in them and fund them. So we've got to eliminate that income tax. We can do it over 5 years. It's a 6% income tax. We can reduce it 1 point per year and add a half a point on the sales tax for the state of Georgia. And I tell you, the sales tax does not have to be equal to the state income tax. So what that will do, yes, will it cause shifts in our economy in the short term? Yes, it will. But long term, you'll see a boom. And what you'll see is not legislators talking about how they bring in Caterpillar and how they bring in other large companies. What you'll see is an incubation of small startups in Georgia growing here and staying here. And so I want that organic growth. So we got to get rid of that income tax.
For me, I would do 2 things off the bat. Number 1, I would call for this in December, all state regulations to be reviewed at least once every 6 years. Let them go through notice and comment so we can make sure that we're not putting too much of a burden on Georgia's businesses. And if they're not renewed, then they expire. The second thing I would do is renew the angel investor tax credit passed in 2009. And it said if you invest in a small Georgia company, you will get a tax credit for that investment. It expires next year. And it's one of the things I think we need to do to make permanent, because when we talk about companies investing in Georgia and incubator companies here, the problem we have in Atlanta is that we're under our weight in terms of private equity and venture capitals compared to other cities. This is one of the ways that we've been able to get even with those cities, is by using that as a means to do it. And I'll tell you that when it comes to the income tax, I'd like to lower it a point. I think we're going to be able to do that, and you can largely do that by expanding the sales tax without raising it. The reason I don't want to raise the sales tax is pretty simple. Number one, retail companies, if you're selling a product and you're competing with the internet on a day in, day out basis, and all of a sudden you've got a now 2.5% higher retail sales tax, which means double digits if T-Splosh passes in Fulton and in the city of Atlanta, that is going to really hurt those retail businesses. And I don't want to see them lose to the internet. I don't want to see them lose to other states. And when we talk about other states, we have to compare apples to oranges. Florida has a 6% corporate income tax. Florida also has a much higher property tax in the state of Georgia. When I was in the governor's office, we were able to eliminate the state's quarter mill tax on the property. In Tennessee, they've got a 7% state sales tax. So you can see what it does when you add the locals onto it. The commission that studied Georgia's tax structure last time said they should lower the sales tax 2 percentage points, but we should maintain Georgia's balanced approach. Because when Georgia went through its economic recession, we didn't have the huge peaks and valleys that you saw in Tennessee and in Florida, and it's because of our balanced approach. And as far as it goes in terms of recruiting companies like Caterpillar, I'm incredibly proud that we've got a Department of Economic Development that does that, because the truth is, if we don't have one, every other state in the country is trying to get those same groups and those same jobs to come there. And so I don't want to unilaterally disarm in Georgia. And I want to make sure that we're presenting Georgia the best we can going forward. And the truth about Caterpillar, even the AJC, most of the incentives that they talk about are long-standing policies that any business the size of Caterpillar can qualify for. So I think we've got to be aggressive. We've got to be aggressive in recruiting companies. We've got to be aggressive in keeping companies, because other states are trying to eat our lunch every single day. Mr. Hill, you got a rebuttal?
Well, it's not a rebuttal, but the angel investor tax credit is the exact thing I'm talking about when you're doing some manipulation to bring in capital. The reason that we need to do the angel investor tax credit is because we have a 6% income tax in Georgia. If we had no income tax in Georgia, we wouldn't have to offer an angel investor income tax credit, because they would all be coming here anyway. So, that's the kind of thing that I think we need to move away from in Georgia, are the manipulations here and the manipulations there, and creating an environment and a structure that is predictable for job creators, predictable for innovators to come here and grow here. And that's what I think government coming out of, getting out of the way is what I'm for, because I believe in innovators and individuals and businesses growing in the state of Georgia organically. So I just wanted to say that about the angel investor tax.